Welcome to the Reef Resilience webinar, Marine Protected Area Financing Tool. Thanks for joining us. My name is Kristen Mays, and I'm the Strategic Communication Manager for the Nature Conservancy's Reef Resilience Network, and I'll be your host for this webinar, which is made possible through the support of NOAA's Coral Reef Conservation Program. Today we'll learn about Reef Support, an innovative marine park payment system. And we're very fortunate to get to hear about Reef Support directly from its founder, Ramón de León. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. Today's webinar will be 45 minutes. There will be a question and answer period at the end of the 30-minute presentation, followed by an opportunity for additional question and answer on the Reef Resilience Network Forum, which is an interactive online community of marine managers and experts from around the world. At the end of the webinar, we'll provide instructions on how you can participate in that online platform discussion. There are two ways you can ask questions during the question and answer session at the end. You can use the question box anytime throughout the webinar to send questions, and we'll keep track of these for the end of the presentation. Or you can raise your hand during the question and answer session, and we will call on you to ask your question during that time. Just a reminder, you raise your hand by clicking on that small hand icon on the toolbar just to the left of your name. If you're having technical difficulties, such as trouble hearing or seeing the slides, please send us a message via the question box, and we'll try to resolve the issue. Before I introduce our presenter, it'd be great if you could tell us a little bit about yourself by answering the following question. Do you work in or with a marine protected area? I'll give you a few seconds to respond to this question, and we'll tally your responses. Okay, excellent. It looks like almost 70% of you do. Great, and we have one more question. So for those of you working in a marine protected area, does your MPA have a user fee or mechanism system in place? Okay, and almost exactly flipped. So 70% no, we have 30% who do. Excellent. Hopefully we can hear from both groups during our discussion. So thanks for participating in that poll. It's really helpful for us to get a sense of who's joining us today. So we are fortunate to hear from Ramón de León, as I said, founder of the Reef Support Program. So thank you so much, Ramón, for presenting. Ramón is based in Bonaire, where he manages Reef Support, an online user fee collection platform that Ramón created after recognizing an enormous gap between the money marine parks were generating versus the money that they actually brought in or got to use. And these experiences came during his 22 years in the dive industry and 11 as a manager of the Bonaire National Marine Park. To create the online database, Ramón conducted 4 years of intense research, development, and testing. And the Reef Support internet-based payment system now helps marine park managers streamline sales procedures, increase safety of marine park rangers, reduce financial risks, and manage information about marine park users. But I'll let Ramón tell you much more about the program. And I'll now pass it over to you, Ramón, to begin your presentation. Thank you so much. Give you a minute to load your slides. Perfect, looks great.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. I would like to start this presentation briefly tell you about how we come with this idea, since it was told already during the introduction. But I moved here in the Caribbean in early 1997. I worked in the dive industry for a few years, and then I started managing the marine park here in Bonaire in 2004. And I did that until early 2015. Many of you may know that Bonaire is a very well-known dive destination. It's recognized for its biodiversity conservation, advanced educational programs, and pioneering the first user fee system in MPAs in 92 as well. In 2015, I left the park to found the Reef Support with the only purpose of improving marine protected area management and build community support in the region. And since then, I've been working in different areas in the Caribbean. So as the presenter in the introduction was told, after 22 years in the diving industry and 11 years in the marine park, I can say that I have been in both sides of the counter long enough to really recognize the burden of having to run user fee system that, although effective, like here in Bonaire, they put an enormous pressure and workload in dive operators. It is not always safe, and it's expensive to run and to enforce. But we all know that one of the most important factors in establishing and managing effectively marine protected area is to ensure that sustainable and long-term financing is in place, is available. Like probably most of you, I personally struggle big time to carry out projects based on grants from NGOs, financial agencies, government offices. I really have problem to work in that way. Those mechanisms, more often than not, they're inconvenient for long-term goal achievement and put an enormous workload in our already pretty messed up agendas. So, and also another factor is most of the money that this big NGO gives to you, people working in the shoreline, it comes from private donors. So why not to offer this private donor the opportunity to give their money directly to you? So that's thinking in all these factors is that I decided that it was about time to create a tool to help marine protected area organizations, management organizations, to improve their financial situation. My goal from the very beginning was to create a simple, user-friendly mechanism to flow as much money as possible directly to you, to the organization working in the field, to the organization working in the shoreline. So my first step in the development of this idea was to conduct a feasibility study. As I say, after so many years in both sides of the country, I had a very good idea, but founders told me, well, if I want to demonstrate my idea, I had to gather some data, and I had to do a feasibility study. So I did. The first feasibility study was financed by Bloomberg Philanthropy, and it was conducted in Bonaire, Curaçao, and San Martin, and I interviewed different group of stakeholders about the different things. But again, what is interesting for this conversation was about how they use internet to plan their vacations and their possible level of acceptance to pay the marine park fees through internet, and how much they value MPAs in their holiday destination, and also how much they were willing to contribute to the maintenance of this MPA. I tell you a little bit more about the result of the survey further in the presentation. So then I start to put all these things together, and I start to visualize how this will work. The first thing I visualized was potential visitors sitting in their homes after months of cold weather, dreaming about their next tropical holidays. And I could see them happily browsing through hotel rooms, car rental, dive package, with a credit card right next to them, very happily about to make what they consider possible the best expenditure of the year for them. So I asked myself, if the option were right there at their fingertips, what would stop them to pay the local marine park fee right there, if they are happily spending money in a bunch of other things related with their holidays? So I combined all this experience in the diving industry and marine park manager with hundreds of hours of conversation and talking with friends in the IT sector, in the financial expert, hotel sector. I spoke with dozens and dozens of my colleagues and referents in the diving industry in several islands. I pestered to no end conservation friends and border management organization across the region for months. And then I decided to start building Reef Support. And after almost 4 years of research, development, and test, I put this tool out for conservation and management organizations to use. It's already use in 4 parks, and 3 more coming online in the few months. And I'll tell you a little bit more now, but this is more or less the story behind the idea. But let me tell you a little bit about the actual situation. See, what is the actual situation now? This in total investment in coral reef management. It ranged a lot. This is data from 2016, published in 2017. It ranged from 350 millions to 1.9 billion. This is a huge variation, but it's basically the definition of what is core management and conservation. If you go to the really core management activity, the investment is about 350 million. Yet coral reef provide 375 billion from goods and services, including 130 billion in coastal tourism. So if you make a quick calculation, you realize that for every $100 that coastal tourism generate, roughly 27 cents are invested in management and conservation. And this is what I call a gigantic economic gap between what is generated in coastal area in tourism and what is invested in management and conservation in coral reef. So one of the tools that have been around for a number of years now to close that gap are user fees. Yeah, user fees have been an established method to finance coral reef conservation since early '92, when the Bonaire National Marine Park for the first time introduced the concept of charging people using marine protected areas. The truth is that most organizations in charge of MPA management really do not have the in-house capacity to establish or operate a reliable system to collect a user fee. Most of them, they don't even have enabling legislation to do so. Besides traditional over-the-counter system to sell bracelet or tag or the kind, put an enormous pressure and responsibility in the operators, in dive operators, and also in your rangers, because they have to sometimes manage a large amount of money over the counter. In the other hand, dozens of studies show that users, especially divers, are really willing to pay for marine conservation or management. Divers really understand what is this about, and they're happy to pay. And revenues could potentially be increased by improving the current over-the-counter system in ways that operators and users find it acceptable. So to find out what acceptable was, is that in part, we conduct this feasibility study that we just mentioned. Again, it was supported by Bloomberg Philanthropy. It was done in Bonaire, Curaçao, and San Martin. We asked a bunch of things, but for what is interesting for this conversation is we try to establish how tourists use internet to plan their holidays, their perception on the importance of MPAs, and their willingness to financially contribute to the upkeeping of the MPAs. So in the first area, how they use internet to plan their holidays, we all know that is big. 96% of the respondents answered that they purchase their tickets through the internet. 83% pay or reserve their accommodations through the internet. 75% pay or reserve their car rental, and 43% pay for their tour activity, their recreation activity through the internet. And if you filter this last category by activity, divers, this grows back to more than 90%. Divers don't go to a destination to shop around in different dive shops to save $25. They do everything through the internet. They want to hit the water as soon as they arrive. In the second category, we try to figure out how important for them is for their tropical destination to have some kind of marine protector. You see there, 99% answer that is very important or extremely important. So they value the presence of marine protected area around their holiday destination. And the next question, how much are they willing to contribute? There are some crazy people that are willing to contribute more than $100 per year, but most of them are in the range to 25 to 50. This is at least for these 3 islands that we conduct the feasibility study. That may change from region to region, but these studies are pretty easy to implement. So to profit from these new tendencies in buying tourist-related products, the wide support that tourists are willing to provide to MPAs and to overcome the actual system, over-the-counter system issues, is that we create the first and easy system to collect marine protected areas through the internet. And this is a screenshot. I will transition now to the live page, and I will show you a park. Here I have a, let me see. Here I have a live park. This is a live park. This is one of the parks that they are using the system. So just to show you a layout of the page, you have your logo here, the name of your organization. You have a picture, a banner with your picture. You have 2 columns for information that you can customize, of course. And you have 2 boxes in the bottom with contact and about us. This is all information about your organization, and you can customize all this. This is a live page, so I cannot go here and show you all the way to the end without putting a real credit card. So I will go to a demo park here, and you will see that the layout is pretty much the same. So how you pay your marine park? And again, I sitting at home planning my holidays, and everywhere I go, all the web page I go, I found the link to this page, and I finally decide to pay. So I click the button, the green button, and here we go. The first part is the personal information. I believe that you have the link to go to this page, so you can go through and fill this information. When you get all the way to the end, to the payment, I will provide you with a fake credit card for you to play around. You don't have to make any expenditure now. So I want to buy one tie here for my cat. My cat is Benito cat. He's a male. I have no idea when he got born, but I will put a date that I can remember. So I will put 10/10/10. He lives in Bonaire, and here I had to put a real email address, because here is where I will receive my ticket. Here I wish to receive information from the marine park, yes or no. By default is click yes. If you don't want to be in the newsletter, you can click no. Leave it now like there. I can add another person, and I can buy as many tags as I want with only one credit card transaction. I want to buy only one now, so I want to close this second person. My cat is an avid diver, so I will buy a dive tag for him and click continue. And you are in the second page. The second page is the orientation. Here's where you customize your bullet point list of most important rules and regulations of your area. This is important information that you want your visitors to know before they come. So you put here a list as long as you want, and you have to acknowledge to enable the continue button, and then you jump to the next page. The next page is review your information. If you did everything right, you don't have to do anything here, but if you make some typo, you put the wrong date of birth, you want to do some corrections, here's where you click change, and you change whatever mistake you make. It gives you an overview, what you have to pay, and then you jump to the payment gateway. This payment gateway is very powerful. I don't want to tell you the characteristic now because we don't have time. But here, if you reach all the way here, in cardholder name, just put any name. And in cardholder number, just hit 42, 42, 42, 42, all the way to the end. If you start with 4 and you finish with 4, you are probably okay. You submit payment, And if you have enough money in your fake credit card, the system confirms your payment, and in a few seconds, your ticket will be in your email, address. I just heard mine popping, so I guess it's here. Here it is. Yes, so this is how an email. This is an email that is generated by the system, but it comes in your behalf. So you can edit this email. I will show you now in a bit how we do this. Here comes your logo. You can edit here and have an overview of your tag, a PDF of your tag. Your tag have your owner name, the unique number. Every tag is unique. What did you buy, the type of tag, the price, and the validity. The system can have a year tag, weekly tag, day pass, you name it. You can put whatever you want there. So this is what I call the final user experience. Is the tourist sitting at home buying a tag. So I will log out now, and I will log in again with a username that I just create to show you what I call the back office features. Yeah, I just create a username for this park. His name is John Manager, and he's the manager of the demo park. So I give him login information, and the system welcome John. You have here in the top right corner, John Manager. John Manager here can change the information, request a new password, log out the system, and these kind of normal functions when you manage login information. So what Jones can do with the system in the back office of the system? The first thing that the manager can do is to create other users of the system, other users within their organization. So you hit here, you create new user, you just fill this field, you save, and you have a new user in your organization. Every time you hit the logo in the top left corner, you go back to the main menu. Second feature is letter to the visitor. Here is where you edit this letter that I just showed you that you get in your inbox. Here's where you edit this letter. This letter can in your behalf. So you can put here your standard signature. The logo is loaded. Your logo is loaded automatically. You save, and voila, you edit the letter. Click in the logo again, and you go to the next function. Is look up for a park visitor. Now imagine you are sitting in your office, or you are a dive operator, somebody show up and say, I swear by all the gods in the universe that I pay my ticket, but I don't have a proof. I didn't bring I didn't print it out. I don't have my phone. So don't worry, mate. We have you. You write the 4 letters of the name or the last name, and you put the date of birth. If I remember correctly, I put 10/10/10. Look up, voila, there is my cat. Yeah, and you say, they have 3 because my cat is an avid diver, so I have been diving before. So they tell you that the tag is valid. Because John is logging as a manager, he has the capability of seeing the information of that person, in that case, that cat. So you edit here and say, no, sorry, I make a mistake. I'm not a male, I'm a female. Okay, I'm as a manager, I can change that. And I save, and I change the information of that person. So next function is manage dive center. I don't want to go through this one because this is exactly the same, manage users, but in this case is a commercial level. So let's skip this one just for the sake of time. Next one is view statistic. Here is where you have an idea of who is using your park. Yes, so you can filter here who have been coming here in the last 30 days. And you can further filter by age, gender, and country. So this is a function that go to the database of all the people that buy tags through this system for your park, and you can have an idea of a statistic of your user. You can save data here. The system create an Excel file in CSV format. I don't want to do it now, again, for the sake of time. The next one is view cells. This is financial information. It's not detailed. It's just an overview of your cash flow, of your revenue. If you want to know how much money has been coming in my park in the last 30 days, the graph show you your cash flow. And again, you can save the data as well. Next one, this is an important one. This is the view finance. Yeah, this is detailed financial information. And we don't have a graph here because I learned during this process that accounting people are very bad with graph. They love tables. So we create a table for them here. This is the function that you will use to generate your end of the year report or your quarters report, whatever financial reporting obligation you have. This is the function that you use. So for example, if I want to do my 2018 financial audit or report or whatever, I just select from January 1st to December 31st, I apply, and I hear my table. Here I have my financial report, and here I will save the data for you to see. Again, the system generates an Excel file in CSV format, and it's important that it's in CSV format because CSV is the format that most of your accounting application like QuickBooks or others accept. So here you don't have to do any data transformation. This can go in your financial software right as it is. And this is detailed information, transaction by transaction, for the period that you select. So this is an important function to keep clear account and easy reporting. The next one is the visitor logs. The visitor log is not the visitor of your area, it's the visitor of the system. It's how people are using the system. You saw earlier that I make a change in the information of my cat. So I can come to the system and say, okay, let me see who changed something in the database today. And you see that Joe Manager at this date, at this time, make a transformation, make a change in this tag from male to female. This is a safety feature. Yeah, there you have the capability to log into the database and do some changes, but every change you do is logged. This log, you can consult it, you can email it, you can do a screenshot, but you cannot edit. You cannot come into this visitor log. And the last one is newsletter. Here's where you download all the information of the people that opt to be in your distribution list. So your last newsletter was 6 months ago. So I said, give me all the new emails addressed in the last 6 months. And you have it here again. You generate a CSV, again compatible with all the application that you use for emailing, like MailChimp and other applications. CSV format is what they use to load new information. So no transformation need, straight to your newsletter program. So this is pretty much the function of the systems. So if we come back to the presentation, in a nutshell, and to round up, the system is simple, it's robust, it's flexible. You can customize a bunch of things with it. You will be creating an ever-growing database of your users. It has a unique ticketing system that cannot be replicated. It's easy to enforce by your rangers and by the operators. It's transparent, it's accountable. You can include customized marine park orientation if you want. Increase safety because you eliminate cash transactions over the counter or at the pier. It requires less operation time investment, low operational cost. It's way cheaper than over-the-counter system, and include, of course, an operation manuals and implementation manual. This is the way it looks at tag in a mobile phone. This system works in any device, but this is how it looks a tag in your phone. And thank you very much. This is pretty much all I have to say. I know I have rushed through the presentation. I skip a few functions, so you can check our webpage or contact me by email if you have some further questions.
Thank you, Ramon. That was very interesting and very informative. I'd really now like to open it up for questions from the webinar participants. Reminder, there are two ways you can ask questions. Raise your hand and we'll call on you so you can ask a question out loud yourself, or send us your question via the question box. And we'll leave this slide up so that you can see the Reef Support website and Ramon's email there. We'll also be sending out a link to the demo site that Sherry shared along with the recording of the webinar. And we'll send this through the Reef Resilience Network email list tomorrow. So if you're not on the list and would like to be, please email us at resilience@tnc.org. And please feel free to share this information with other managers who you think would be interested. Okay, I have one question here. How long does it typically take to implement the Reef Support system? So to get it set up and functioning?
About 15 minutes, literally. If you want to use this system, I had to build a page for you. Let me tell you something from the beginning, and I'm not bluffing here. I didn't build this system to be sitting the rest of my life behind. It's a bunch of things that you can do yourself. One of the things that I require when I start coding this system is that this has to be fast. So to build your page, if you provide me with the content for the information column, if you provide me with a picture for the banner, your logo, and the product that you sell, and integrate the credit card payment gateway, it takes me about 15 minutes. Then you have to implement it in your local area. This system is as good as people can find you. So there is where your local knowledge comes into the game, and which strategy you will develop locally to be sure that everybody found you. One of the things that we recommend is partner with your stakeholders, all the dive operators, all the hotels, your tourism chamber, everything that owns some kind of tourism-related webpage in your area. Ask them for help to expose your payment link. So when I'm sitting in my house, a -30-degree planning my next holidays, every page I go in your area, I found your link. So that's easy for me to pay. There's no reason for me not to pay. I'm sitting right there with my credit card, spending money already. Yeah, so that's local implementation, and I can give you some ideas, some guidelines, but that's really depend on your local knowledge. So you need to know how you will market your payment link in your local area for your visitors. This is local knowledge. But to put it up, it takes nothing.
Excellent. Next question, how many parks are currently implementing this system?
There are 4 parks already using the system for a number of, one of them will be 1 year now. The first one will start last year in April. The second one follow very short. I don't remember exactly the date, but these 4 parks using the system already. And there are 3 more coming online before the end of Q1 this year.
Great. How do commercial marine operators interface with the verification that the fee has been paid? Do they verify that fee has been paid before ticketing? And then there's just a follow-up question, and I can read it again. Our MPA has 500,000 visitors a year. Is this a feasible platform?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We build it in a platform. We build it let me start answering the second part of the question. Yes, this system is designed to take, I don't remember out of my head now, but hundreds of thousands of hits a year, and the storage in our server now, the storage for the database is already enough, like for 10 years, something like that. We built it big from the beginning because we knew that this can be used for park with that characteristic that receive hundreds of thousands of people a year, but the system can take it no problem, and we tested already. This first part of the question was about verification of the ticket. Is that right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
The ticket is unique. It has a QR code. So if you have any QR scanner in your phone, you just can point, and if you have login information, if you are a user of the system, this QR scanner take you to the database where the information of this tag is, so you can verify. Yeah, because for example, I print a PDF, and I can, for example, I can change my name and create a fake PDF, but I cannot create a fake QR code. Yeah, so you can create a fake paper, but you cannot fake the database. So every time you scan a QR code, the system will take you to the part of the database where this tag is stored, and you can check if it is valid or not. That answer the question?
It does. And Ramon, so do the commercial marine operators have the ability to scan the QR code?
Yeah, I didn't went through this part because we have a little time, but one of the first features that I show you when Joe Manager was in the back office is that Joe Manager can create other users. Yeah, one of the steps of creating other user is to provide a role. Yeah, you can provide. There is three levels of user. Is the finance, which is the highest level, has access to all the function. The health manager is this next level, have access to some function, and you have viewer. In my mind, when we create the system, users will be dive operators and rangers. Yeah, those are people that their only role is to check validity of the tag. So you can create a username for a dive operator, and when somebody show up with a ticket that he has some suspicions that it is not valid, he can go in the system and check validity of that particular tag via typing the name, as I did with my cat, or scanning the QR code with any QR scanner.
Excellent. Sounds very thorough. A number of questions have come in regarding cost. So I'll lump them together. So there's just a question about how much does it cost to set up and use this system? And then there was another question about, is there a percentage that Reef Support charges for each user fee?
As I mentioned before, there is not cost for setup, for implementation. I can do it so fast that I don't even charge for that, for the setup. For the operation of the system, yes, there is a cost. It can be set in different ways, depend how you use the system. The system now, as it is in use now with these 4 parks, they are using it with our what I call banking services. Yeah, that is credit card processing and transferring to your account. So one of the things you have to give me is your account, of course. So the money comes to you. But you can use it also, like a few parks are about to do it in the next few months, as a standalone application. You only use the application and you hook up your banking service. If you are a merchant, if you have access to credit card processing, you can do that. We help you to hook up your banking service to our application. And of course, the services are different, because in the second option, you take care of credit card cost. In the first options, I take care of the credit card cost. So yes, in the first option, it's a percentage that you pay. From the beginning, I built this system to flow as much money as possible to the MPA. So I need to know what is the break-even percentage. Yeah, and that depends of basically 2 things. It depends of the number of tag that you think you can sell and the price of the tag that you sell. Yeah, with that 2 numbers, I make a breaking even percentage, and on top of that, we add 1.5, 2% maximum. But I don't have any part with more than 2% now. The reality is that most of the parks don't have this information, don't have this number of possible tags that it sells a year. So we have to guess. This is something new, never been done before. So we are all learning. We adjust. We normally adjust down because I can cover the cost with less than what initially we preview. But yes, there is a cost for use the system, and the way I thought is a percentage because that way it doesn't create a pressure in the user, doesn't create a pressure in your park. If I put you a fixed amount, you may not reach that amount per month or per year, so you will be under pressure. If it is a percentage, you never lose, I never lose.
Excellent. A follow-up question to that, can you change the currency or does this only work in the US system?
No, the credit card processor can process 135 different currencies.
Wow.
And,
okay.
and that's something that I didn't mention again for time saving's sake, but you can set the currency you want to use, and the system is hooked to a reference web page that have all the exchange rate. So when you pay in a different currency that the US, the system will make the exchange rate at the very moment that you make the transaction. And this is the Excel form that is generated by the financial report. Yeah, and in this column G, you have the price of your tag in US, and you have the price in the tags in whatever currency you choose. And here you have the exchange rate. In this case, it's all one because I don't have any part that is not in dollar. But let me see. Yes, it's all in dollar. But here it will appear the exchange rate, and the exchange rate again is taken at the moment of the payment from a reference web page. So the answer is yes. You can handle pretty much every currency in the world. It can manage every single credit card, major credit card around the world, and it also can manage most of the debit card systems that there are more common in Europe. You know, American people are more credit card oriented, European are more debit card. This system can manage it all.
Great. Okay, there's a question here. Many parks may be in rural areas with no or spotty internet. If users forget to download the code before they go to the MPA site, are there any workarounds to this potential issue? Do you have examples?
Yeah, good question. And we thought about that. This is a problem that we don't have much here, but we thought about that when we start working with other parks around the Caribbean, where they had exactly the same problem. We are developing what we call an enforcement application. It will be an app that you put in your telephone. So if you're a rancher and you have to go out to an area that you don't have telephone coverage or you don't have internet access, but you have to check tags, what you do is before going out with this app, before going out to your house or your office, you download the last version of the database. And then you go out and you can enforce offline. Yeah, and this is in a nutshell part of the application that answered that question, but the application will have other features that it will be geo-referenced. So you as a manager, you can see the movement of your ranger, where they have been checking tags, and etc. So next time the ranger goes online, the application in their phone and the database in your office synchronize automatically, and you have all the information in the database, in the same database. Excellent. This is something is coming soon.
I'm going to do one last question because we're almost out of time. Are there any requirements to use the Reef Support system?
Yes, there is a requirement. First, you have to prove that you are the legal handler of your marine park area. So if you are an NGO, you have to provide with some kind of contract with the government or something. You have to prove that you are the official manager of the MPA, and you have to have a management plan. It's not that you want to be on top in how you spend your money. I always say that to raise the money is the easy part, to spend it is the hard part, but you need to have a management plan, mostly because as a Reef Support, we have to cover ourselves that we are flowing money to trust people. Yeah, people that are in charge of MPAs and they have a management plan. Doesn't mean that if you don't have a management plan, you cannot use the system. You can start, but we give you a reasonable time of 2 years to come with a management plan.
Sounds fair. Well,
I'm sorry. We can of course help you with the management plan.
Oh, wow. Okay, hear that, everyone? So I'm sorry to have to wrap up the question and answer session, but our time is up. There are a number of questions that came in that are great questions, so I want to be able to get those answered. So we will encourage you all to continue this conversation on the Reef Resilience Network discussion forum. So if you go to reefresilience.org and click on the network tab, you can log in or join the network forum. So the questions that we didn't have time to get to today, we'll go ahead and post those there, and Ramon can address them directly there for everyone to see. Feel free to ask an additional question there, or if you have a follow-up question to one of the ones we tackled during the webinar, please share. Also, please share examples of the user fee systems you currently use. So for those of you with experience, it would be great to be able to share with others in this forum what those experiences are. Let's see. So yeah, please also send any suggestions for future webinar topics to Reef Resilience, or I'm sorry, it's just resilience@tnc.org. And thank you everyone for joining us, and special thanks to our presenter, Ramon. Thank you, Ramon.
Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for attending.